Hello everyone. Welcome to See Nor Art. This is my art channel. My name is Kat. I'm very happy to have you all this evening. Hello. I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday evening. This evening will be lots of fun because we're gonna draw together. We're gonna get our pencils and our paper and we're gonna draw a little sea dragon, which should be a lot of fun. I had a lot of great suggestions about what to draw from a lot of you because I did ask. But yeah, I just wanted to draw a sea dragon, so we're gonna draw a sea dragon together. Plus I had some reference photos that are my own, so that kind of simplified that. Didn't have to worry about weird copyright laws because it is my photos. So if you're looking for the reference photo, let's start off with, before we get too crazy in depth with it, and I start answering your questions, you can find that reference photo not only when I switch over to, so you can see my paper and everything like that. It's on my Facebook, my Instagram, I put it on Twitter, and I also put it on my Discord page. And speaking of Discord, you guys, I really want to see what you draw tonight. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if this is the first time drawing or if this is the millionth time drawing. If you enjoy making art, we all got to start somewhere. I admitted like Monday that, I didn't really start drawing until I was in my 20s. So, that's really exciting for me to meet other people who are, wherever they are in their art journey, because we're all growing together. There's so much in the world that I'm still learning. There's so many more techniques that I want to learn. There's so many more people that, I really want to meet in person and learn from them as well. There's teachers out there I would love to be able to take their classes. So yeah, let's just do this all together. So before we get too crazy, I will give you a little bit of time to ask me questions in chat. Also, we'll just go over really quick supplies. I suggest that you have 2 pieces of paper. One, because just in case you start drawing and you're like, nope, you can just slide that paper aside and you can just start drawing again. I also suggest to have a pencil. Doesn't matter what kind of pencil it is. If you want to use a lead pencil, if you just want to use a traditional graphite pencil, if you want to use a watercolor pencil, if you really want to get crazy and try to use charcoal, it might be a little difficult if you haven't used charcoal before, but you're welcome to it. I use crayons. Go for it. Crayons are good drawing material too. If the only thing you have next to you is a ballpoint pen, use a ballpoint pen. It's a thrilling experience to be brave enough to use a pen. And also have a way to erase if you're using something that can be erased. So if you're using like charcoal, kneaded erasers are perfect. Using graphite, just any old eraser will do. I'll be using art supplies, so I'll be using my sketchbook and a Bristol board paper for tonight because I'm gonna draw in my sketchbook, and then to help you guys I will be drawing on my Bristol paper right after that. So we'll talk about a step and then I'm gonna draw that step, and then I'll encourage you to watch me complete that step in my sketchbook, and then I'll do the same thing over on my Bristol board. So let me make sure that I'm not missing any questions. Oh my goodness, thank you for my mods for putting it my Discord on there. Okay. So Ginger asked, she's like, I have a 2B, an HB, and a 2H graphite pencil and drawing paper. So for the recommendation for your pencil is, I will recommend, because you're drawing, I'm going to recommend that you use either the HB or the 2H. B means that the lead is soft. H means the lead is hard. I would suggest not using your softest pencil, which is, I believe, if I remember, yep, it's a 2B. Just because when we start out drawing, we have a tendency to be very heavy-handed, myself included. I'm still working on draw softly, draw lightly. It's really important to do that because you want to make sure that you're not indenting your paper. And when you kind of get frustrated with a spot, if you draw too hard, it's hard to erase it. So go for the HB or the 2H, just because it'll help you with your pressure. It won't matter as much because you won't have to be so light with it. And printer paper and a generic, just lead pencil will work. That is where I started out when I was a wee little itty bitty child, and I would just sit there and draw Lord of the Rings because I was really into it when I was in my teens. That's where my drawing started from. Not very good drawings. But I did try. I did it on computer paper. Tons of computer paper. Bless my parents' heart. So, alright. Is there any other questions before we move over and start thinking about first questions though, do you guys have access to your reference photos? If you'll let me know that in chat, I really want to make sure that we're all looking at the same image. It's all connected on all my social medias. And if you want to join my Discord really quick before we get started so I can see your photos when we're all done, be sure to go to my main Twitch page, or my mods will put a link in the chat as well. Okay, because you want to reference that photo as often as possible. I'm sure that you notice that the photo is in black and white, and that's really important. I don't want you to get distracted by color, because we're not going to do anything in color tonight. We're just going to draw together. We're just going to make it real simple and draw together. I do have it in color, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Okay, so I will need to do the same thing. So let me go ahead and head on over to my OBS and change the music before we get too far. I don't know what this is, but it's weird. Okay. Okay, we'll do that. This is much better. Okay. All right, let me pull up a couple things. Let me transition over. So I've added the, I'm not sure, somewhere in a corner. I'm not sure since I'm facing the camera's reflecting me differently. I do have the reference photo pulled up physically up here, but I wasn't sure if it would be too small, because if you're like watching me like on your phone, it's gonna be itty bitty tiny. So I did pull it up here, even if it's still there. If you're watching on your phone, that's okay too. So you have that reference photo. So I need that reference photo. Let's go ahead and find that reference photo really quick. Make sure. All right, so what we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna do a sea dragon. Sea dragons are related to seahorses, and you can find them. This one that I took a photo of was in an aquarium in San Diego. The aquarium's name escapes me. I know that it was a part of a university, and it was in San Diego. I don't know if they have more than one, but they like sea kelp. And so sea dragons, you can see, have lots of really like leafy, like just additions. They're not necessary, but they're kind of like just like, they're very pretty. What we're going to focus on is we're not going to focus on like the whole thing. We're going to break it down into bits. So which means I'm just going to teach you how to see shapes and what those shapes are. And we're going to do little warm-ups together to make sure that we're relaxed and we're feeling good. We're in the moment, we're in the space. You got me for 2 hours. If all we draw is just one sea dragon, we're doing excellent. So, but yeah, let me make sure that I've got chat pulled up really quick. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull over, excuse it for the noise, I'm gonna move over my sketchbook. This is my extra large sketchbook. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my pencil. I'm just gonna use this, I think it's a watercolor pencil, but it's got, it's very, very soft, so it should make very dark marks so you can see what I'm doing. There is no failure here. There's only beautiful mistakes. If we make a mistake, it's okay. This is a judgment-free zone. This is a place where you can feel free to just try something new. I want you to really feel like this is more like a Bob Ross space where you feel comfortable and relaxed and yeah, just enjoy yourself. Now, speaking of, if I start moving too fast, please just pop it up in chat. Just be like, hey, you know, I need a moment. Can you give me a moment on this step, or can you like redraw this step? I'd be more than happy to do that. If my mods can help me with that, that would be awesome. So if you see somebody being like, wait, slow down, if my mods can be like, hey, we just need to slow down for a minute, no problem at all. Oh, hello, North. I'm glad you can make it. Mather says, if that person is you, if you need me to stop at any point, go for it. And if you're experienced and you feel like you just want to jump ahead, go for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my piece of paper. And this is why I encourage you to have at least 2 pieces of paper, if not more, because we are going to be just doodling on one piece of paper. It takes a little while to get warmed up and kind of get your mindset going. So, hi Lady Boa, welcome, welcome. I know, oh, a sea dragon, I love sea dragons. I couldn't resist, I was like, oh, yes. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw circles. It sounds silly, but it's what we're gonna start with. We're just gonna go to our page and we're just gonna draw big circles, little circles. And I don't draw the most perfect circle in the world. I know that some artists, they spend lots of time drawing circles. I'm gonna do a smiley face. Yeah. So the reason why I'm gonna make you draw circles on your piece of paper is because we're gonna be drawing a couple circles. And it's a good way to kind of loosen up your wrist and just kind of, yeah, kind of do that. So a lot of the way that I draw, and it may not be the way that you draw, is that I draw in circles. So right now I'm just kind of like drawing So I'm just going to use this to draw just a couple circles so my brain thinks about what is it that I'm doing. So right now all I'm doing is I'm just drawing little itty bitty shapes, and they kind of look like I'm looking at the reference photo, but it's so loose. It's just a very loose, on your piece of paper, just keep drawing circles. It's just going to be a super loose fish-like shape. It doesn't really look like a seahorse. It's not something that I would sell anywhere, but like my brain's thinking about the shapes that I'm seeing. So one of the shapes that I'm seeing is, I'm seeing a lot of beautiful like S's. So I might spend some time just, you know, trying to like just do some weird, very loose number 3s. This is why you have a spare piece of paper. It's just going to be full of just squiggle drawings, which is just fine. Because sometimes just having like that rough line of knowing where you want to put things, usually in the background helps. It helps give you like a place to put it on your piece of paper, because you're thinking about like, where do I want to put it on my piece of paper? All right, make sure I didn't miss anything. Thank you for taking charge of dad jokes. What's the tornado's favorite game to play? Twister. That's probably very good at it. Yes, we're gonna have it's gonna be an active summer for tornadoes, for twisters, because we have, is it El Nino or the other one moving through, and we have trade winds shifting, so we're gonna get a lot of moisture where it's not usually, and we're gonna have a lot of cool down where it's not normal, so we'll see how it goes. Oh really? Oh my gosh. So we have some family and some friends that live in Mangum, Oklahoma, and I know that they got affected by a tornado, so I really hope that everyone in Oklahoma was safe. Okay, all right, so I squiggled and drew roughly. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and just gonna slide that piece of paper. It's a great place, like if you're not sure how to draw the shape, you can always use the squiggle page to draw the shape. So right now I'm just going to put the sea dragon right in the middle. It's not normally where I'd put it. Normally I would plan it out a little bit different, but since we're just learning and we're just going to use this time to just kind of figure out how to draw the sea dragon, I'm going to kind of just put it in the center, which is where they tell you never ever to draw, but that's okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, it's kind of like a very loose, the overall shape is like a very loose C. So I'm just going to very loosely just put this here. And it's more of just to know where like most of the body is going to be, because it does have a lot of S shapes, but I'm just trying to capture that movement, because even though the neck and the head go different places. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a line here, because what I'm doing is I'm looking at the angle of the head, and I'm going, okay, this is roughly where I want the head to be, so I'm just lightly. So you want to use the C and this line here to be as light as possible, because your goal is just to kind of like draw an underlying skeleton that you're going to build shapes on top of. Yes, the sea dragon is very ziggy zaggy, and it's okay. We're gonna get through the zigs and the zags, because it is a lot of fun. If you look at the picture really closely, you can actually see the S line that kind of goes through the center of the sea dragon. So if you look really closely at the photograph that I have in reference for you, look at the center of the sea dragon and you'll actually see the line that moves directly through the center of the animal, which is really cool. And so that will give you like a visual of like, this is where this shape is going. So cat or a cow, but I'm no quitter. Yes, it'll be good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to just do a line here, and I'm just gonna break down these shapes. I'm not gonna worry if they're perfect. So what I'm copying is just that curved shape that I see within the dragon. And I'm still following it, like it's still cradled in my C. So this is just a reference of where my tail should go. So I'm just making soft curved lines, which is roughly where things are gonna go. So just judge with your eye, just use your eye, use your pencil. Like if you use your pencil and you like roll your thumb up it and you like can see it, you can close one eye and look at the photograph and figure out how big or how short things are. So you can use your pencil to measure. And then we're just making these really soft curves. And these curves are gonna help us. Basically, you can see where that center of that sea dragon is. It's just these curves here. If this is still confusing, don't worry. I'm gonna start drawing shapes soon, and if you just wanna follow along with my shapes, that's okay. The reason why we do the lines is because it's giving me a rough estimate of how big things are before I start like bending my shapes and bending all the way through. Go big or go home, I know. Yeah, it's all good. So the first circle we're gonna do is we're gonna do this cheek of the sea dragon. It looks like a cheek. I'm not sure if it is or not. We're gonna do this cheek because this is a good place to anchor everything else off of. And it's a good measurement because it is a rather large part of the animal. So I'm just gonna do a circle right here. And then we're gonna do a small circle next to it. It's very simple. And then if I take my pencil, and I measure along, so mine's really blown up really big on my computer screen, but if you take your pencil, you should be able to get 3 of this cheek size all the way down to the end of the mouthpiece. So I'm going to use that as a measurement. So I'm going to take this here, so there's 1, and I might run it right off, there's 2. So my mouth is going to run right off the page, which is okay, we'll get around that. But roughly, the end of it will be roughly here. So I'm just gonna do that. So I'm going to move this just gently off to the side, and I'm going to do this really quick on this piece of paper. So this smaller circle is for the eye, and then we're just going to go ahead and draw. I'm just gonna simplify this. We're just gonna draw a very simple. We're just basically connecting the dots. So this is very simple. This dragon might also fall off, but that's okay. Its tail might fall off, so I'm just going to simply... Okay, so we started with the cheek. We just did the small circle right next to it, which is the eye, so you want this to be up just a little bit, so you have a little space in the mouth. And I went ahead and drew that trumpet-like shape. Yep. It's almost like an upside down triangle, like right there. All right. Malthus has a snoot. Oh good, snoot. Okay. All right. Alright, since we got pencils rolling everywhere, since we roughed in this mouth part, which is roughly like a weird sort of triangle here, and we've got this going here, I'm just going to quickly just loop in that eye. So there's an eye. So you guys can see this little guy next to this guy, cheek, the eye, and down here. So if you can make sort of a rough, that's what we'll work on next, is we'll work on that neck part right here. So I made this weird, I'm not sure, a noodle. We'll call it, it's kind of like a noodle, like you would use for macaroni and cheese. So you're gonna kind of make a noodle, and we're gonna use this term a lot. You're gonna make like a noodle shape to use for that neck, which we're using that line that I used for the curve. And then here comes that zigzag, but we're not worried about it. We're just gonna put just a loose circle that is slightly smaller than the cheek circle, but not as small as the eye circle. So I know that I did it really quickly, so let me do it over here as well, so you can kind of, so using that curvature of where we put the neck, we're gonna follow the curve of this other circle here, and we're just gonna make a noodle shape. So just follow what your eye sees of the sea dragon. See how, like, you're gonna follow that noodle shape, and we're gonna make just that smaller circle right there. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for just a little bit and see if you guys got your noodles down, if you have your noodle neck down and your other circle down. So you guys will just have to let me know. It looks complicated, but we're just gonna break it down very simply. All it is a bunch of circles and triangles and noodles. So I'm teaching you just how to see the shapes. We're just going to do basic shapes tonight. Okay. You think you're good? Okay. We'll do a dad joke. That's a good thing to do. What do the oceans say to the beach? Thanks for all the sediment. Dole. Okay. Alright. So we did our face. So we're using that cheek as our largest source because it is a pretty big muscle of it until we get to the big tummy part. We made a noodle for the neck, and we made just this circle here, which is part of that chest that juts straight out, and then it's going to go back in. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at the center of the sea dragon. So basically think about it as like your own rib cage, if you can feel your own rib cage. So rib cages have a fun shape. So let me move this over here and let me scrunch this over here. So basically, the shape that I'm seeing here is like this shape here. Please ignore that part. But this shape here. So it's kind of like a very loose, like almost like a stone type like triangle. So it's very loose shape. So I don't want to ignore, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very lightly, I'm just going to do this back part because this is pretty straight, right? So you see the point and how it comes to like a point before it starts bending and curving again. So I'm just going to make another triangle shape just like this. So we're still following that curve that runs through. So I'm going to draw it one more time on this loop. I'm still going to look at that angle of the back here. I'm going to make that triangle, which is pretty big. And it should look really odd because I don't have anything connecting this shape to this shape. And that's okay. We can go back and start filling everything out and start getting that rough outline. What I'm concerned with is getting all of my basic shapes done and then being able to like flesh it out and worry about the other parts. So it's like a triangle or like almost like a saddle shape. Which is probably why they call them seahorses. It's because they have a lot of shapes that you would see in horses. Because horses' necks have like this weird noodle shape to them. They also have a great piece of measurement for a horse is their big old cheek and their jawline right here. Like a candy corn. Sea dragon name, noodle. Yes, we're gonna draw lots of noodles tonight. We're gonna draw lots of noodles. We're all working on noodles. We're all making oddities of noodles. Yes. Yes, I approve. I love noodles. They don't love me, but I love noodles. Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, I am allergic to gluten, so eating noodles is not in, but when I was little, I ate lots of noodles. Okay, so we're gonna work on our little scene. Did everyone get their candy corn or their little saddle done of their noodles? Okay. All right. I'm gonna move this over so that way we can bring this back. Okay. No, it's all good. You have not blown it. You're drawing with me, and I did choose a noodle, but we're gonna have fun with our noodle. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, so we're about to get ready to make another noodle. So, what we have here is that there's quite a bit, it's a little noisy, so I hope you can see past, like, I'm looking at the computer and I can tell, like, one of the fronds of that little like leafy kelp-like appendage is like falling over, so it's kind of hard to see past like the rib cage how that bends. But if you take your pencil and you like align it, so it should be, you can almost see that it comes at an angle and the bottom of it comes at an angle. That seems really important because then it does like this really beautiful like curve of the tail afterwards. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a really like fat noodle. So what I mean by fat noodle is that I'm looking at, see this corner of your candy corn that you should have here? You're gonna use that as an anchor point. So use your pencil, find that angle. So when I look at it, my angle is roughly this. So I'm gonna like follow that angle down of the back because it is such a sharp angle. And this little corner of our candy corn saddle is also an anchor point for later editions, but this is an important anchor point right here. So I see that it's like slightly a curve, and then I look underneath and it's a bigger curve. So what I mean by that is like look at the bottom of the picture and look how like the noodle, like how this noodle is going to curve underneath, where this is like a slight curve. This curve is going to be bigger. So it's almost like a square noodle. But still that like noodle shape. So we're still following this S curve down. So let me slide that over and let me find my noodle here. Okay, let me draw this other noodle. So we've got this anchor point here. Alright, I'm gonna double check that angle, which yes, I do close one eye. So it's roughly an inch down. And this, and the bottom of this curve is it's a stronger curve. Okay. Yes, because this part, this little corner here is going to be another anchor point for some more fronds. Just like there's going to be an anchor point down the bottom here and down over here. I'm just gonna mark those. I know where they are. An elbow, yes, like an elbow noodle. Exactly. Thank you, Helen North. It is like an elbow noodle, possibly. Yes. So, yeah, it is still more noodle shaped than like a square. Everything is very, very noodly with this. I may have put this particular noodle too far down on my paper, but that's okay. That's all right. I can always flip over the paper and draw it again, which is always a good thing. It's always good practice. The more you practice your noodles, the better you get at your noodles. Okay. I'm just double checking. So I realized I may have moved things a little bit, but that's okay. I can work around that. All right, just let me know when you guys are ready for me to move on to the next step, because I'm hoping we can get to all the noodles, all the little noodles, because we're getting there. If you're amazed, we've been doing this almost for an hour, and we've got the noodle shape of our head, the noodle shape of our neck. We've got, I guess, wagon wheels for other parts, a little bit of it, I don't know what the saddle's gonna be, candy corn in the middle of our noodles. It's Halloween, I guess. Oh yeah, North. I'm pretty sure that all of our art professors were like, look at that noodle. Do you see that noodle shape? They'll be so proud when they know I'm describing how to look at shapes and objects by noodles. Oh, yeah. But everything has like a shape, and you're just trying to find that shape. And if you can find those shapes with common shapes that you look at, your brain thinks about those shapes. So when you look at something, it's amazing. Before I went to art school, and after I went to art school, I look at the world around me completely differently. And yes, I do see noodles and like circles and oblong shapes and rectangles and all kinds of stuff, because I'm breaking it down of how would I translate this onto paper. Exactly. Hey, it's arts and crafts night. It's okay if you use actual noodles and candy corn. Which we don't have either in our house, so I apologize. Okay, all right. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at this tail, and seahorses have, and sea dragons have mode of transportation. They use like these, like almost like fin-like appendages. So the one on the sea dragon is you can't see it in this photo, just because this was taken with my phone, so it's not like the best, like crystal clear quality. So normally they have like, sometimes they have a fin behind their cheekbone, and then sometimes they have a fin along the back of their neck. And then on the sea dragon, you can barely see it, but this next part of the tail that we're gonna start drawing, if you look really closely at the photograph, you'll see like these little spiny things, and that's where that tail fin is. The reason why I say that is because it's actually, because the way they move is like almost, they look like they're floating, but they have like almost like a hummingbird movement in water, which means that like that fin is moving so fast that it's hard for our eyes to catch up with it. So the reason why I say that is because the tail is actually moving closer in space. So that's why it has like that weird bend to it. So I'm just letting you know the different parts of the anatomy, and the way it moves through water is something to think about, because it's literally just like floating, kind of like a hummingbird seems to like float in air. Like sea dragons and like seahorses have that same kind of like, it's amazing to see them just going, you're like looking at them and then they're like, zoom, I'm at the other end of the tank, and you're like, I didn't notice it just because it's such a gentle like mode of transportation. So we're gonna do another noodle. We're gonna probably do, so I have like this curve here. I'm just gonna do a little appendage here because I noticed there's a little out. And I'm gonna do, I have these lines underneath, but I decided that I'm not gonna follow them. So that's okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna gently erase that C, erase those lines, bloop. It's a beautiful thing about erasers, you can erase. So it's roughly like an inch or so. So we're just gonna do another noodle shape, another gentle noodle shape. So that's roughly, if I'm looking at it, it's on my computer screen, it's roughly like an inch and a quarter. Depending on your measurement and your photograph, it might be slightly different. I'm just trying to capture like that little bit of a curve. And I know that there's, because this part's actually not going to have any kind of large appendage, like large leafy, leafies on it, so it's actually going to have that fin part there, which we can add later. Happy Doodles! Hello, Pindrin! We're making noodles and candy corn tonight. That's exactly what we're drawing, is noodles and candy corn. So you're welcome to draw noodles and candy corn with us. Alright, I'm just going to draw this little circle. You can see that it's like a curve. And when I drew it, I want to make sure, I don't think I drew it so well than the first one, but I want to make sure that the top is thicker than the bottom because we are going to start getting thinner. So I may actually go back and erase that because I don't think I translated it that very well. So this is like so the bottom should be smaller than the top. Yes, noodle doodles. We're going to draw lots of noodles. Lots of noodles and doodles. Okay, let me erase this one really quick. And I'm going to try again. I think it's wider than it is on the bottom. I just want to make sure that I'm translating that clearly. So I'm just going to use my pencil. Just going to use my Happy Dabby eraser. Make sure that on this one too, we're smaller at the bottom than we are at the top. So it should be thicker through here and then start to get narrow because if we look at the picture, it'll get really, really thin because the tail on this little guy actually goes really, really thin and doesn't curl up like other seahorses and some other species of sea dragons do. Hello, Xiaoyan. So your noodle should be fat at the top and narrow at the bottom. Yes, you gonna come on? Noodle doodles, come on. Aw, I don't know if cat purrs have that. I do know that they've done research about cat purrs and that it has healing qualities. I don't know if it's true or not, but cats always make me feel better. Hello, Xiaoyan. Hello, are you gonna say hello? Oh, you can see D spots. D Wild 7 is here. I know that like cat meows, especially like kittens and cats that talk really softly, have the same decibel point of a crying baby. So if your cats can wake you up really easily, it's because you're biologically trained to wake up to them, because it's the same frequency as a child crying. Hello. Hello, are you making a circle? Hello, Xiaoyan. You can see a wild 7 tail. All right. How's everyone's doing? How's everyone's noodles doing? Are we noodling well? Do we have our circles and our noodles and our candy corn? Where are you going? Okay, I'm glad you thought twice about that. It's not a good idea. 7. Did you see him try to climb the back of my chair? Are you gonna get comfy? I think he's gonna, yep, he's gonna sit behind me. Okay. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we've only got 3 more noodles to draw, and then we'll be good to go. And then we can go back and start filling in some of our blanks and start getting an outline going as well. All right, so when I use my pencil and I look at my picture, this size here, the next segment is roughly, it's not half, it's not quite half, it's just shy of being half of this segment here. And we're going to do the same thing. The top of our noodle is going to be wider than the bottom. The bottom should be getting narrow. So I'm just going to roughly do a circle here. And I'm going to do a circle here, just kind of like, I might have to adjust that just a little bit. So when I do that, that's allowing me to see, like, this is roughly in between these 2 points here. So I want to make sure that it gets a little more narrow. And we're just gonna simplify. It's got like a funky angle going on there, but we're just gonna simplify that angle just a little bit. So I just take my pencil and I want to double check. I can just put it up to here, and here's about half, so it's roughly about half. On this particular one, because I put my my noodle dragon. It's down so low. So low. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. I'm actually gonna curve. So if you did, as I did on this piece of paper, if you made your noodle dragon too low on your paper, you might actually have to start curving that tail up so that way it stays on your page. So to do that, I'm just going to just make that same, roughly that same measurement. So remember, your noodle should be wider at the top than it is at the bottom. And I'm just gonna start curving it. Just going to do a curve. My camera's out of focus. Oh, it is out of focus. There we go. Is that better? Sorry, my camera did get out of focus. Is that better for you guys? Yes. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. So let me scooch that up so you can see my noodle tail. So we have our noodle tail right here. We're gonna do another long one here. Actually, let me scratch. I might actually fix this tail really quick. So I decided I don't really like that angle, so I'm not gonna worry about it. We're just gonna do another noodle here. Sure that yeah, it's still in focus. Okay. Okay, did we draw our noodles? Are we noodly? Are we doing good on our noodles? Since I know that my camera was blurry. You are noodled. It's good to know that you are noodled. Okay, all right. So before we get a little closer, we take a break here in just a little bit. I went ahead and did this curve here. So the reason why I did this curve here is because I want an angle from the end of the mouth to the bottom of the tail. It's roughly that angle. So it's roughly that angle here. So if you take your pencil and you go up to the picture and you look at it and you do the end of the mouth to the end of the tail and find that, you can actually, if you wanted to, you could draw, hold on, you can draw that angle. So if you have your pencil, see how funny my arm looks, but it'll actually, if you just take it really lightly and just draw it, then you can use that point here, just roughly draw the circle here. So this should be the end of the tail right here. And the end of the tail is like pencil thin, so it should progressively get narrow. Oops. It should be very, very narrow. So I just used a couple of like pencil strokes to kind of like fill it out. I can erase it later and do it that way. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to take that pencil, roughly just draw. And this one has a little bit more of a curve, but I can still use that curve and do that line. So the line's in the center. And here's the base of that noodle. So we're just going to make a very skinny spaghetti. We're just going to do some angel hair right at the end. So we're just going to do really thin angel hair. So it gets thicker up here, but then it like bends out and tapers out. It does become angel pasta. Very good, Hendren. Reading my mind. Reading my mind. Because I think we had elbow earlier, and I guess the circles can be wagon wheels, excuse me. Because my sweet friend and I are always on the hunt for wagon wheel noodles. Never can seem to find them. I don't know where they sell wagon wheels. I know what they look like, but they never seem to. We've got elbow macaroni and cheese type noodles. We've got an odd, oh, what are those called? I guess they're not really triangles, but we have an odd shape. We just have candy corn in the center, and then we've got more noodles coming down. For the two noodle doodles are for a chance for you to watch me do one drawing, and then I'll do it again here. So like these are they're different noodle dragons, because obviously I put this one way too far down on my piece of paper, which is just fine. So basically you can watch me do it once, and you can watch me do it again if you missed it the first time. Because when I watch videos on YouTube, I'll like pause it. But you can't pause me because I'm live, so this is a way to let you see what I'm doing, and then if you missed it the first time, you can watch me do it again. But yeah, that's why there are two bow ties. Almost bow ties. Okay. Alright, before I let you guys go on a break, we are going to go ahead and we're going to just add just a few more details, because then we'll have like basically things going here. So I'm just going to make this curved line here. It's really easy. So this connects this wagon wheel to the candy corn here in the center. And then, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm just going to take this line and roughly this line, and I'm just going to so you should have a very so all I did was just use that line and I connected the two. So you should have roughly a dragon-like shape. So you should have a sea dragon-like shape of noodles, or you have a noodle dragon. Oh, you have a cat in your lab. Yay! Yeah, my cat, he decided I wasn't giving him enough attention, so he left. I wish I had a cat in my lab. That would be nice. Okay. Alright. So what I'm going to do here is, we've been drawing for roughly an hour. So if you have any questions, please just let me know in chat while we go on a break really quick. I want to make sure that you guys get a chance to stand up and stretch, maybe get some food, because we're super close. Like, you, in an hour, look at the amazingness you've done. You have a noodle dragon, and it's very exciting. So I'm going to let you go just for a little bit, and I will see you guys right after a break. So once again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me questions. If you want to show me what you're doing and have a question about how does this work, just jump on Discord and let me know through there, and I'll check it right before I go back from break. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a little bit as we are gonna get a little closer to finishing our noodle dragons. So that's so exciting. So let me go ahead and switch us on over. Alright, and I'll be right back.
I can do. I'm gonna be the
Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back. This is my channel, See Nor Art. My name is Kat, and I do art here. We are making, so let me transition over so you can see. We are making noodle dragons. Yes, we are doing a sea dragon tonight, and this is a draw along, so if you like to draw along with me, that is perfectly fine. We are just practicing shapes here, and we're making noodles. So while I was gone on my break, I noticed that I have a new follow. So I have, hopefully I won't get this wrong, but BFO Zone. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it very much. And if you have any questions at all, please just join me in chat. I have a couple ways that you can join me. So the easiest way is that you can go ahead and head over to my Discord. You can find my reference photo of my sea dragon that I have available there. If not, just follow me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, because I posted the reference photos on all my social media, so that way you can pull it up on your phone while you're watching me on TV. If not, you can look at my itty bitty reference right here on the screen, but in case you want something a little bit bigger, I have it there for you. So what we did on the first half of our little stream is we're breaking it down super simple. We're trying not to get too distracted with lots and lots of detail, but we're getting closer. We can start adding in those details. So I have two noodle dragons here. So I'll start drawing on one, and then I'll switch to drawing on another, just so you can see me. If you missed it on here where my hand was in the way, you can watch me on the second one. So let me pull up that reference photo for me. Oh, in Pokemon news, a Shieldon. I don't think I remember what a Shieldon is. I love Pokemon Go though. I got a, I don't know what it's called. It's a little like sea slug. I don't know what it's called. I don't recognize it. I got a sea slug today. That was my big thing. But it was a really odd number. I've never caught a Pokemon. It was 666 was its CP, and I was like, this is very odd for Pokemon. So, Shelios, thank you. Yep. Okay. Now back to my Dragon Noodles. Dragon Noodles. Yeah, it was a really odd Pokemon Go day for me, but that's okay. We've got what we started off with as our measuring base, just a refresher, is we used the cheek, the little wagon wheel, so a circle here, and then we drew the eye next to it, and we used a measurement for the mouth, which I made it a little short because I want to run my sea dragons right off the page tonight. That's okay. I'm warming up myself and getting used to it. And then we did elbow noodles here, did another wagon wheel, candy corn, because I don't know of any noodles that make this, roughly this triangle shape. And then we just made noodles smaller and smaller as we went along, all the way down to angel hair down here. So I used this, roughly this C circle, just to kind of like see where I'm going to place it on the paper. This line here was the measurement from, if you look at the photograph and use your pencil, you can find out angles, which is really cool. So when I go over to on my computer screen and I look at the mouth to the tail, it roughly makes this angle here, which then I can make that angle here. So little tips and tricks. So now what you should have is all these shapes here. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna take some time to wiggle my desk, and I will wiggle my desk, so I'm sorry if I get my camera out of whack. But I'm just gonna lightly erase everything, just not hard, not a whole lot, but I just want to lighten up this underdrawing so that way when I start doing the outline, I'm not getting distracted or confused by all of these all the lines underneath. Because for me, like, if I try to do an outline with everything being there, I'll be like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm studying. So I'm just gonna take my eraser, I'm gonna wiggle my desk, and I'm gonna very lightly, so I can still see it because I want all that information there. I'm just gonna very lightly go underneath, and I'm just gonna very lightly erase. If you're using a pen, you can skip this step. You don't need this stuff. You can munch on some Cheetos and come back here in just a second. But if you're using like a medium that can be erased, just lightly erase it. I still want to see all the information, so I don't want to erase it away. But I don't want to be distracted by like angles or anything like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna lightly erase. Still want all that information, but I just don't want to be distracted when I do an outline from it. And if you're using a mechanical pencil, just be really careful when you're erasing really lightly. Your fingers, the oils on your hand, will smear mechanical pencil to no end. So if you're using like an HB or a number 2 pencil or a mechanical pencil, just be really careful about the oils in your hand because you'll like smear it, which makes a really cool, awesome shading effect. But if you don't want that there, you'll just have to be extra careful when you erase. Just try not to get your hand into it. So I'm gonna do this here. So I'm using a watercolor pencil over here because it's really dark so you can see it. And I'm using this is a 4H pencil, so it's very hard. So I'll even have to use less pressure over here for this noodle. So I'm just gonna lightly erase it. Erase my lines here. North, I love it. Please, if you want to add whatever you want, this little noodle dragon is your noodle dragon. It can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, all right. So the reason why I erased everything really lightly is because I'm going to start adding some more information. So this sea dragon, our little noodle dragon, has these beautiful leafy shapes, and they're really fun and they're really fantastic. It's even got like a little like top knot going on top of its head, which is really fantastic. It's got some eyelashes, and maybe like even some like beard. It's got like some Fu Manchu beard little dinglies going on, which is really cool. So just look at these shapes and keep these in mind, because we're gonna use this time to go ahead and lightly outline everything and kind of start planning where we want our leafy little appendages to go. So that way we can add them later. I'm not gonna add as many as I see here in the photograph because it's a lot to take in. It's a lot of like, whoa, there's so much going on. So I'm gonna pick out the features of my sea dragon that I'm like, I love the little top knot. I'm gonna do that. I love this back here. I definitely want to like add the little fin parts if I can as well. So I'll definitely be adding those, because my little noodle dragon doesn't look exactly like the noodle dragon up here because I never intended it to. I'm just intending it as like an educational resource for me to just, all I'm focusing on is the shapes and learning how like it moves through space. So hopefully you're taking that too. If it doesn't look like the photograph, that's fine, because we're learning here. We're learning to see noodles and dragon wheels and all that good stuff within our drawing. A compass for your circles. Wow, you'll have better circles than me, Mathercist, if you use a compass. I actually draw a lot with mechanical pencils in my sketchbooks because they're easy to port around and they make nice lines. Yeah, I like nice pens and pencils. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as a reference, and I'm just going to go very lightly. And I want an appendage here. I want an appendage here. It's a little, I want a leaf here. I love this top knot, so I'm just going to map out where that top knot is. I'm going to map out where this is. And then I've got a big one here. And these are little guys. I'm just going to... So it's almost, I want to keep right where all of my noodles meet are usually some really fun, fantastic like shape coming from there. Just gonna do a half moon here. Okay. So what I did is I kind of went ahead and looked and saw, like took a moment and looked and saw what I wanted to add to. So got one here, got one here. There's one here, there's some down here, and then I really liked right there. There's quite a bit, so I'm just gonna simplify and just do 3 here. Okay. Because we're still gonna be drawing some shapes, so I won't exactly. And we've got some funky eyelashes going on here, so I'll probably just draw some lines here for those funky eyelashes. Okay, so I'll do the same thing on this other one. So I'm just going to reaffirm where I wanted all these fantastic shapes to go. So I want that little, so I'm just putting a circle. So it's just me planning out where I want things to go. So I'm just using the photograph. And I'm just using just simple lines, just trying to be light, but just trying to figure out where I want to. Because before I do that final outline, I just want to make sure that I know where everything is gonna go. Here. We're just doing itty bitty baby circles. Itty bitty baby ones. Okay. So I'm drawing noodles on graph paper. If it makes you feel better to draw on graph paper, go for it. I am not a math kid. I don't think in grids. I have tried to draw drawings on grids. It's just not my thing. But I know some really fantastic artists that use grids and they make, I mean, it just clicks for them. Their brain works that way and they can see the shapes easier. It's easier for them to go, okay, this circle fits in like a 4x4 square. My brain just doesn't work that way. But that's okay, because everyone does art slightly different. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a little spot for his little top hat of his little fro that he's got going on here. So I'm just going to make a simple triangle shape here. So I'm going to do the same over here. I'm just going to make this little triangle. And it's like this fun, I'm not going to do the leafy parts first because I kind of want to start on bigger leaves first, kind of get that shape down first, and then I'll go back and do little leaves going on here. So what I am going to do is, I noticed on this dragon, is I am going to go ahead and just do this fun little eyelash thing that's going on here. So what I did is I did a tiny line here. It's very hard to see. So I did tiny lines over here, and I just did them all the way across. Make sure that I'm in focus. There we go. And let me use my pencil really quick and show you. So I'm just gonna do an arc in between all of those lines. Can you guys see that? So I have the circle for the eye. Might move that eye up a little bit. And I did these lines here, and I kind of made a fin. Yeah. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. Oops. So I'm just doing arcs in between all the lines down to the, so just like that, a really simplified form of that funky eyelashes that they have. So nice. Let me know when you get your little top hat going and your funky eyelashes going. Because then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this neck right here. We're going to do our first big long leafy guy. Yep, good. Okay, thank you, Mathesis. I appreciate that. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to make sure that you got your little top hat here and your eyelashes here is because we're going to be doing all the leafy, little leafy parts of our noodle dragon. And it's a lot of like repeating of the same shapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one for us on both of the dragons, and then I'm going to set you free to make your own leafy shapes. I'm gonna let you out, and you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is there is this shape here. So I'm gonna look at that curve. It is a curve, but I'm gonna use my pencil again and find that angle. So it's like a curve angle, but the angle is like roughly this right here. So I'm gonna close one eye, look at that angle, use my pencil. And since I am right-handed, I'm just gonna make sure it tries to be a curve. And then I'm gonna use, it's hard because there's so many like body part, Okay. A good measurement for this is that this particular neck line is actually one of the longest of the leafiness. So a good measurement is to take your pencil and measure from the cheek all the way down to the nose, and then compare it to here. So if this is roughly this size here, when I put it here, from the neck to here, I roughly have that size here. So see how you can just use your fingers and place along, or use your pencil to make that measurement, and then put your measurement up here. And so roughly, this really light line that I drew is roughly that length. So we're just gonna do a really gentle curve. And I'm gonna kind of make it dark. I wouldn't suggest doing it this dark on your drawing because you can do it a lot lighter, but I definitely want you to be able to see it. Because the reason for that is that you can tell in the photograph that this little dragon is floating in water. So some of the appendages are like twisting in and out of space. But there's some basic shapes, and we're going to use this one to do basic shapes, and then we can do really fun shapes as we go along. So one of the basic shapes that you can do is like just basically that shape there. So it's kind of getting out of noodle land. I can't really describe it as a noodle land, but just think of like leaves that you've seen on trees. Because it is very similar. If you want a really great reference, go to Google and look up sea kelp, because they do live in kelp beds, and so that's a lot of where they get all their shapes from, is that is part of their camouflage. So what I'm going to do here is I'm kind of made this big, but I wanted to show you what that looked like. And then I have another one here. So Maribel, hi friend. So it's kind of like a very loose leafy shape. And then I'm going to use another line here. You can tell my pencil is getting a little dull. So I will sharpen. So those are some really like basic shapes that you'll end up repeating as you go along. So find those shapes in the photograph. If you have computer paper, and you're very, very gentle, I mean extremely gentle, you can take your computer paper, and if you have it pulled up like on your computer, I haven't tried it on a TV screen, I wouldn't really suggest it, but if you're really, really gentle and you're not sure how those shapes are forming and you're struggling, computer paper goes really great onto like computer monitors, but you have to use the lightest touch in the world and very lightly trace it. If you're nervous about it, don't do it, because I don't want you to harm your computers. I am not responsible for any harm that comes to your computer, but I am saying is that I will do that. I will take it and be like, I don't know what shape this is, but then I'll hold it up to a thin piece of paper and hold it up there and lightly, lightly trace. Very, very lightly. Hey girl, those are claws. Ada wants attention. She's like, I'll stick claws in you. Okay, so I'm seeing a little struggling with leaves. It's okay. What I'll do is I'll do another leaf on this noodle here, and you can watch me one more time. So I'll simplify another leaf for you. Hey, little girl. Did you make it? Little girl. Hi. You can't see her because she's black, but Ada's here. Hi, Ada. Okay, let me show you another leaf. So the fun thing about leaves is that it's a little bit of letting go and a little bit of having fun. I want you to play. Like if you're starting to get tense, take a deep breath, because this part is just about playing. So you're gonna, because I'm right-handed, if you're not right-handed, as you can see a while Ada, since I'm right-handed, I'm gonna use the top of here. I'm gonna arc around and make a, almost like a B shape, but backwards. So it makes a really loose U shape. And then if you want a simplified shape of a leaf, if you want it really simple, draw the center where you want it to go. See how I draw the center here? Hey girl, sticking claws in my chair. Excuse me as I discipline my kitty cats. Not really discipline, but just sure. So leaves are always wider at the top and narrow at the bottom. So you'll just want to keep that in mind. So just make sure that the top is bigger than the bottom. So you've already kind of made this shape, you're just loosening it up. Instead of it being like a rigid noodle shape, you're making more like a very loose shape. So think about a leaf. Think about how it's like narrow at the bottom and wide at the top. And then like these little drop forms like this, you can make a simple oval that's bigger at the bottom, narrow at the top, and then just draw the lines back. Does that help? I have leaf-like objects. Good, good. Okay. All right. All right. So we started with this guy here. So that way we can do, yeah, I've been doing it for an hour and 36. I've been slightly distracted on our second half, and I apologize. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, since I've got this first leafy shape done, I'm actually gonna move to my next leafy shape. And it's actually going to be the same length here. So I'm just going to use the top of this shape here and just like move my pencil from the top over here, which should be in line with this dot. So these two dots should line up right here. And it's another curved shape, so I'm just gonna go down on that curved shape. I'm gonna take a look and see what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna use the photograph for the information that I see. So if you want to, you can keep making these shapes here because these shapes are repeated if you would like. That's perfectly fine too. Because these shapes repeat themselves. So, you know what it reminds me of? This shape is kind of like a bean. So if you've ever seen a pinto bean or a kidney bean, like this is like that shape. So if you hold a bean on its side, this is roughly a bean shape. So if you want to think about this shape as a bean and these shapes as leaves, that's probably the best way to think about it now that I'm trying to relate it to something that you might have in your house. We're gonna add beans to our noodles, which does not sound like a good combo, but that's okay. For our noodle dragon, we will have fun for our noodle dragon. Okay. Hello, Pindrin. Welcome back. We were talking about adding beans to our noodle dragons. Go ahead and do that bean shape again. And I'm just following the information that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add little leafy appendages everywhere that I have a circle that I mapped out. So here, here, and here and here, and then 2 right here, and then along the bottom here. So I'm just going to take a moment to kind of just do this really roughly. So I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm going to leave this one alone, and I'll move further down because this is indication of where my little fin is. So I'm going to leave that alone. I won't put leafies there. Just make sure as you're moving along the tail that each of these little leaf shapes get smaller and smaller. So I'm just repeating all that information over and over again, but every leaf gets slightly smaller. Oh wow, Pindrin, you mowed half the grass. That's amazing. I don't know how you did that. It rained so hard this morning. But I know that some people just have to mow their grass just because you don't have time for the rest of the week. Just gonna do looser shapes for this one. Okay. All right, so the measurement I was doing is I was measuring for this little leafy part right here is the same length as like this one here. And then they progressively get smaller because they all line up with the end of the mouth here and just go right beyond. So that's what I was doing with my pencil, is I was double checking my measurements for how long my leafy shapes should be. So roughly. This shape here. Help! I saw the help. No, they just can't see the bottom leaves as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'll scooch this one up. Sorry. Sorry, I did not see that. I was busy drawing leaves, and I apologize. Can you see the leaves? Okay. You can find your own leaf shapes too, so if you want to invent your own leaf shapes, that's fine. I just simplified these leaf shapes down a little bit. And I was working on this big one up here. Sorry about that. That was my bad. I got distracted. Ada, that's not your closet. Leave the closet alone. Cats and wanting to be in closets because the doors are closed. It's irresistible. Oops, made that open. That's okay. Can work with that. Ada's just determined to find trouble. A little close, that's okay. I know I'm drawing these really fast, but I'm just trying to keep them these shapes really loose. I'm trying not to overthink it too much. I'm just looking and seeing what I see. So these don't match the photo, but like I'm just trying to find what makes me happy, because a part of it is just kind of like I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a little tense. So when I do that, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna leave it really loose and really like I'm gonna go with the flow. So that's what I'm doing here, is I made these a little bit looser, and then as I came up here, I was just like, I'm feeling a little tense, like I'm focusing too hard on like too much tiny detail, and I was like, nope, nope, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna do these nice loose shapes. So if you missed it over here, I'm gonna try to draw a little darker over here so that way you guys can see. You can use this one as a reference, and I'll start working up here on this guy here, because we're almost on that 2-hour mark, but I might go a little bit longer just so that way we can still at least finish our little top knot over here. And we'll just darken the lines up, and then we'll have a sea dragon that we can put on the fridge. Because at the end of the night, I want you just to enjoy. Because that's the whole point of art, is to enjoy it. Gonna draw leaves now. Congratulations! That's exciting. You can draw noodles, you can draw candy corn, you can draw dragon wheels, or I keep calling them dragon, wagon wheels, circles, you can do circles, you can do leaf shapes. Yeah, just these are really like thin in between, and if you want to repeat this shapes over here, that's fine. I just noticed that when I was looking at it, these are much bigger than these guys here, and it must be because these are a lot more stationary and these need to be thinner because it's moving through water. So I know since I curved this tail up a little bit more, this is kind of getting scrunched a little bit, so I'm just adjusting and moving around, just because this noodle dragon is different from this noodle dragon, and that's fine. So I'm just gonna respect, make sure that at the end of the night, it is your own noodle dragon. You can do whatever you'd like. A dad joke. Okay, you know what they say about cliffhangers. They like to hang out. Okay, so all I did here is I'm gonna add this little fin. So I added very simple long ovals here just to make little fin shapes, because this is where that main fin is. So kind of like what I did for the eyelash here, where I made the lines and then I made the curve in between each line. That's exactly what I'm doing here, because you can't see it in the photograph, but that's how I'm indicating like movement. Hello, Breezy. Hello, hello. Oh, Final Fantasy. Let's do Link instead. Hello, Breezy. We are drawing noodle dragons tonight. We talked about noodles. We're drawing leaves right now, so we're having a good time. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm just darkening up my outline just a little bit while I wait for you guys. You'll have to let me know when you're done. Oops, when you're done with your drawing. Drawing your leaves. Love those noodle bean dragons. I know, we have noodles and beans. Oh, and candy corn. We've covered all the shapes. All the major food group shapes. You're good on leaves? Okay. Alright, so Mathersa says he's good on leaves. We'll wait until at least one other person tells me that we're good on leaves, and then I will move on, because I do need to blip, blip. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the little top knot up here on the dragon. I'm going to scooch this down just a smidge. I'm going to do the little top knot right here. So, however you want his hair, her hair, I don't know if it's a him or her, however you want him, his, her, it. I don't know how sea dragons associate gender, so I will not judge. It is all good here. So what I want is, I kind of want silly, so I'm gonna do 3 ones, and I'm just gonna make it really silly. I'm gonna have like a little hair sticking up here, little hair sticking back. So I'm just gonna keep practicing my little beans and just do itty bitty tiny beans. So I'm just gonna do a nice little wave. And I might stick little leaves there. Because I want this to feel a little silly. I want to give him a little character, because he is my little noodle dragon, and I want his hair to be silly. It's not what I see in the picture, but it's what makes me happy on the inside. And that's also really important, is to have fun. So I'm just gonna do his top hair, like all funky and goofy. I like to imagine that there is a goofy sea dragon out there with goofy, ridiculous hair. A big mustache on top of his head, perfect. Oh, speaking of mustaches, I want mine to have a Fu Manchu. I really like the I'm gonna do that right now. Before I go, I'm gonna add bloop. So to add a Fu Manchu, you can put it anywhere you want on his little snoot, So I'm gonna put mine right here, and you'll want to make one line long, and then make the other line not as long, because this little guy is on the other side, so you gotta think about, like, you can see the other side of his cheek there. Oh man, we're gonna add a little Fu Manchu mustache. Yes. Just gonna do it like that. Blue. So now he is also sophisticated. Okay. Gotta do that over here too. Fu Manchu. And I might put, on this one, I might put it further down. So draw one of these lines in the front should be longer than the line in the back. And we're just gonna give him a little Fu Manchu. There we go. See, you can have a little personality. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around and I'm just going to quickly just use more pressure than what I have been doing all night. And I'm just going to darken up these lines here. So I have everything I need is underneath already, so when I go to outline, you're ready to go. You're ready to go. Like you don't have to worry about it because you've already done all the hard part. Oops. Just make that line blip, blip. And I know there's a lot of other detail going on within this, but I just wanted to get the basic shapes down, so that way you could have a little noodle dragon all of your own. Which you can name it whatever noodle you want, or you can keep it as Noodle Dragon, that's fine too. But this gives you a really great place to start with your Noodle Dragon. And it breaks down some of like those basic shapes. So when you go and look at something else and you go, oh geez, this is really complicated. Don't worry about it. Just find a way to simplify it. Just break it down to all of its noodly parts, its candy parts, its bean parts, and try to find ways to like interpret the shapes that you're reading, that you're looking at. And then remember to have fun. So if you want to add a mustache, you can add a mustache. If you want to add a mustache up here, add a mustache up there. Like, it should make you happy. It should be. And a lot of drawing is just for you. So that makes it the fun part. If you wanted to have crazy hair, give it crazy hair. If you wanted to have like actual like human arms, give it human arms. Go for it. If you want it to look super realistic and detailed, thumbs up. Go for it. Don't be intimidated by anything. Just keep doing, keep drawing, keep trying. I ignored my art teachers in college who were like, you should have a sketchbook with you almost all the time. Now that I'm out of college, it's really true. I don't travel anywhere without my sketchbook. I rarely travel anywhere without my sketchbook. And usually when I forget my sketchbook, I'm like, oh, I wish I had my sketchbook. Protect Emperor Noodle. Is that your name for your Noodle Dragon? Is Emperor Noodle? I like Emperor Noodle. Emperor Noodle is fun. I love Mulan. That's a really great movie. by Disney. It's a very good movie. I like that movie. I like it when he serves her breakfast of the porridge, and it's got like the egg eyes and the bacon smile. That cracks me up. So if you had a chance to draw with me this evening, some noodles, be sure to post them on my Discord, which my mods have been super helpful and been posting the link for me. If not, just go to my actual Twitch page, and there's all you have to do is click the banner that says Discord. You can post your photos there of your noodle emperors or your noodle dragons. Yeah, because I would like to see them. I will post these also there as well. But yeah, if you guys, I'm gonna stay here for just a little bit. I know that we just rolled over the 2-hour mark, so it's just a little bit past that. However, I'm gonna stay a little bit to make sure you guys don't have any questions. Night Watch by Rembrandt. I don't know if I've seen Night Watch by Rembrandt. Alright, just catching up, making sure I didn't miss anything. Alright, do you guys have any questions? Anything at all? Or do you have your own noodle shapes? Do you have your own noodle shapes? Kind of made my own shapes. Perfect. That's what I want you to do. Oh, good. I'm glad that it turned out well for you, Mathersis. That's exciting. Well, that's really good. Okay, Ginger, keep in mind that you tried, and this is really big. Like, this is huge. I chose not an easy subject, but I did it so that way I pushed you outside your comfort zone, because like Bob Ross says, sometimes you have to just get brave and just do it. And you've learned so much, so I don't want you to be discouraged, because every time we put pencil to paper, we're getting a little bit better. We're teaching each other something new, and we're teaching ourselves to really just enjoy. I would love to see your little noodle dragons on Discord if you like, but don't feel pressured if you don't want to. I will probably keep on drawing noodle dragons later this week. Speaking of later this week, I will have another stream on Friday. It will be a relaxed stream. I'm not sure exactly what kind of trouble I'll get into, but as I get a little closer, I'll let you know. I don't know if I want to do maybe a drink-along stream, but basically you can grab adult drinks and just have just a chill Friday stream is probably the direction that I'm going. So it'll probably be a little more mature. So I'll have the mature toggled on so you guys can grab your favorite drinks and we can just giggle and chat and all that good jazz. So I will probably need a little bit of a break. I've got 2 commissions going on right now. I've got a big gigantic giraffe, which I did post on Instagram, that I'm running right into that deadline, which is a good thing. It really motivates me. And I have another drawing that I'm trying to get done as well. So we'll probably do a relaxed Friday stream if you're interested in. Yes, Ginger, you did push and I'm really proud of you. You did great. Are we allowed to see? You are allowed to see the commissions. So I did post one of the commissions on Instagram. So neither one of so both of the people who have hired me for commissions are incredible people. They're separate people, but they're very sweet and very incredible. So, but yes, I will post those photos on Instagram because it's a good place for me to just post those things. So be sure to keep in mind to check my Instagram. speaking of Instagram, if you guys want to follow me on social media, please do. You can follow me as See Nor Art across all platforms. I'm very blessed that way. And then also, if you want to support me, please join. Be sure to just check out Redbubble. My Redbubble store has some merch. I'm a little behind on updating my merch, and I apologize for that. It's just been getting crazy because I am a couple weeks from now. I'm going to be at Indie PopCon, so it's from June 7th through the 9th, I believe. So I'm running into getting ready for that as well. So if you're in the Indy area and want to come by, just find me in Artist Alley. I'll be giving more information out as we get a little bit closer about where I'm located, where my booth is. So I'd love to see you in person if I could. That would make me really happy. Let's see. I think that's all the announcements, other than thank you for lurking. Thank you for chatting in the chat. I'm really happy to have my new follower, which I'm going to scroll up and make sure that I didn't miss any other activity. So BFO Zone, thank you so much for your follow. Also, from my last stream, I still have IQ Brightbird 64. Thank you for the follow as well. So yeah guys, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me for making noodle dragons, and have a wonderful evening and a great rest of your week, and I will see you at the end of your week. All right, so thanks guys, and I will see you very, very soon. Boom, 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 boom